What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Everything Octagon. We're breaking down fights all week long for Vegas 89 this Saturday at the Apex. In this video, I'm breaking down the first fight of the main card, the opener, Billy Quarantillo versus Youssef Zalal. This is a pretty interesting fight. Both these guys haven't had a very easy track getting into the UFC and staying in the UFC. Billy Quarantillo, he was on the Ultimate Fighter, McGregor versus Faber, and won to get into the house, and then lost on that show. Fast forward, maybe a year later, he was on the Contender Series. He won that fight and got into the UFC, and ever since then, he's kind of been up and down, win some good fights and lose some good fights. He's lost decisions to guys like Clay Guida, Shane Burgos. He was knocked out by Edson Barboza with a knee. But he's done his own fair share of stuff. He's got 8 knockouts and 5 submissions in MMA. He's knocked out guys like Alexander Hernandez, who's I've seen him take some hits. He's got a pretty good chin. So that fight, he just put it on him. I think he just proved he was a tougher fighter and punches in bunches and got Alexander out of there. But on the other hand, you got Youssef Zalal. He came on the scene in 2020 and into the UFC, and he won 3 fights in a row. They were all by decision, but he won 3 fights in a row coming into the UFC, and then he ran into a young up-and-coming phenom that we now know as Ilia Topuria. He lost a decision to Topuria, and then went on to lose decisions against Sung Woo Choi, Sean Woodson, and then even a draw with Damon Blackshear. He was cut from the UFC after that. And then he went on to the lower organizations in Sparta, I believe it was, and he got 3 finishes in Sparta, as well as took on a couple of he took on a kickboxing match and got a knockout in kickboxing, as well as a W in a boxing match. So he's really been working on his striking. In this fight, it's really hard to judge. At first, I was back and forth on it. At first, I was going with Billy Quarantillo just because of his toughness. He's just really tough. He'll come at you covered in blood. If you don't put him down, he's still coming. So part of me really wants to go with Billy, but saw an interview with Youssef Zalal, and he was just talking about how he's been really working on his striking and working hard to get back into the UFC, and I think we're going to see a resurgence here. He's even stepping in on late notice to get this fight. Billy was supposed to fight Gabriel Miranda, and I'm not sure why that fight didn't come to fruition, but Youssef Zalal has stepped in, and yeah, he was just saying that he really wanted to show, he never got to show his first stint in the UFC, his striking, and I think we're going to see, some sort of resurgence, almost like Brandon Moreno when Moreno, was cut from the UFC and fought his way back and then ended up getting himself all the way to a championship and getting himself UFC gold. So I'm thinking that that's what we're going to see from Youssef Zalal out of Morocco. Again, Billy Quarantillo, he has a black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu underneath Matt Arroyo. The submissions are there. The knockouts are there. He's got good striking, mostly orthodox. Youssef Zalal kind of does the switch stance where he can strike from both sides. I think that I'm pretty sure Youssef Zalal is probably going to come out of this with a TKO finish. Billy's real tough, but I think he's too tough for his own good. He gets hit and he keeps on coming. And if Youssef has worked on his striking like he said, then it's going to be a bad idea for Billy. But expect to see a really good fight. Really gritty, tough Billy Quarantillo coming forward, getting lit up and giving his own strikes back. I just think that I think the momentum that Youssef Zalal has and like he's reinvigorated to be back in the UFC. So I'm going to go Youssef Zalal by knockout. Thanks again, everybody, and remember, hit that like button, comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Let's grow this channel. Rock and roll.